Bass heads, what's good? In this video, we're going to talk about what a bass compressor pedal does. So the long story short is this. A compressor pedal's main job is to even out the dynamics of your bass signal and ensure that all of the notes are at relatively the same volume. Now, compressor pedals are not as sexy as, say, filters or fuzz boxes or octaves. And in my opinion, compressors are really more felt than heard. But in this video, I'm going to show you how one works. I'm going to give you some examples and you can decide whether this is something that is right for your live rig or in the studio. But before you make that decision about the studio, I should let you know that probably 99% of the bass that you hear on recordings these days has some sort of compression on it. So whether or not you need it in a live setting, that depends. That's up to you. Depends on the genre, etc., etc. Depends on the, what the, front of house people, have on the signal or whatever. But in the studio, either you're going to track it or it's going to come on, afterwards. It's just the way it is. Let's get into it. Now, I'm an MXR guy, so I'm going to use this MXR bass compressor. This is the Blackout series, the white one. Same thing. This one is just, in my opinion, sexier because it's all blacked out. But check it. Every compressor is going to have these components or these features, right? All right. So the first one is the threshold. On the MXR, it's the input, right? And you're going to set this to decide when the compressor starts working, right? So this will kick in when the music hits a certain loudness. Some pedals they may not say threshold and your knob may say input. It's going to be the same thing, all right? The ratio, which is here, this knob changes how much the compressor squishes or squeezes your sound. A low ratio means that it's barely going to touch it, and a high ratio means it's going to squeeze it harder. Okay, and this is going to make all the parts of your bass sound more even in volume. Now, the attack knob is going to set how fast the compressor starts after your bass gets louder. A quick attack means it's going to start working right away, and then a slow attack it's going to take longer for it to react. Your release is going to set how fast the compressor stops working after the signal dies down. If you adjust this, your volume is going to sound more natural and controlled, but it really depends on what you like. Now the output, that's where we're going to we're going to match the volume, right? So there's where my volume is directly in. When I turn that on, you see it's lower. So I want them to be about the same level when the pedal is on and when it's off. Now, you will have to experiment, right? And it depends on what you like, what you're doing. I'm going to set this ratio down, and let's play a groove without compression. Let's play with compression. So it's not really reacting there unless I dig in, like, even still, it's not really reacting on that. Let's dial that in a little bit. Now, if we dial up that volume, right, the threshold, I brought up the threshold, I may need to take that volume of that output down. You notice the release, when I dialed up the release, it let go of the compression quicker. If I dial that back, it takes a longer time to release that signal. Now, where I typically, when I use this, do that without compression. Again, like I said earlier, this is more felt than heard, and so it's not a pedal that you're going to use and just be like, oh, that, I automatically. You have to pay attention and hear this over time. Now, one way that I like to use this is like right at the front to even out my signal before I go into an envelope filter, right? That's one way that I like to do it. Sometimes I will put this at the end if I'm running multiple pedals and I want to even out, like, if you've ever turned on an envelope filter and have that thing just kick in and almost blow everybody's head off, having a compressor at the end of the chain to even that out doesn't hurt. Getting into compressor pedals is not something that you're going to get or understand right away. It's going to take some time. You're going to need to listen and things like that. If you decide to get one, like I said, I'm a fan of the MXR pedals, and there is one linked below. Doesn't cost you anything extra and helps me to support this content. So take your time and listen to the things that you play with and without compression and find out what works best for you. Now, there's a lot of different schools of thought when it comes to where a compressor should fall in the chain, whether you want to put it in the beginning, after the tuner, or at the end. I really think that's up to you and your application. And again, you got to listen. You have to experiment and listen. All right. So if you keep watching to the end, I do have some examples of me playing a few different things on both a passive bass and an active bass, both with and without compression. If you found this video helpful, I appreciate you hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and the bell for notifications. Also, if you are into synth bass, I do have a synth bass course. It is beginner friendly, and that is linked in the description of this video as well. Keep watching to the end. Check out those examples with the modern vintage MVJ 66 and my Marco 5-string, which is active. All right, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.